October 11th, 1930, 6:47 a.m. Al Capone's suite at the Lexington Hotel, 4th floor, corner suite overlooking South Michigan Avenue. Frank Nitti knocked on the door. 3 sharp knocks, the pattern that meant business, not emergency. Inside, Capone was drinking coffee, reading the Morning Tribune. He'd been awake since 5:30, old habit from Brooklyn. Early risers see problems before problems see them. "Come in," Capone called. Nitti entered carrying something large, awkward, a funeral wreath. White chrysanthemums arranged in a circle around a black ribbon, the kind of wreath you send to a funeral home, the kind that sits on an easel next to a casket. Attached to the ribbon was a small card. Nitti set the wreath carefully against the wall, said nothing, just waited. Capone set down his coffee cup, looked at the wreath, looked at Nitti. Where was it? Front entrance. Doorman found it at 6:30, leaning against the door. Anyone see who left it? No, probably dropped off sometime between 4 and 6 a.m. Whoever did it knew our shift change. Capone stood, walked over to the wreath, read the card. It was handwritten in black ink, neat script, professional. In loving memory of Alphonse Capone, 1899–1930, rest in peace. Capone stared at the card for a long moment. Then he did something Nitti didn't expect. He smiled, not a big smile, just a slight upward curve at the corner of his mouth. "You know what this cost?" Capone asked. "Sir?" "This wreath. White chrysanthemums, good ones. Black satin ribbon, custom card, professional arrangement." Capone touched one of the flowers. "Probably $40, $50, maybe more." "I don't understand," Nitti said. "Whoever sent this spent real money on it," Capone said. "Could have just sent a threat, a note, a message, but they spent $50 on flowers. That means something." "What does it mean?" Nitti asked. "It means they're serious," Capone replied. "And it means they think I'm already gone, that I'm a problem they've already solved. They're not threatening to end me, they're announcing it, like it's already done." He walked back to his coffee, sat down, picked up the cup. Find out who sent it. How? There's only 3 florists in Chicago who do work this good. Start with Romano's on West Madison, then Bellini's on Clark, then Mueller's downtown. Someone ordered this in the last week. Someone paid cash. Someone gave specific instructions about the card. Nitti nodded, started to leave. "Frank," Capone said. "Yeah?" "Don't throw it away. Leave it against the wall. I want to look at it while I think." Nitti left. Capone sat in his chair, drinking coffee, looking at the funeral wreath with his name on it. Outside, Chicago was waking up. Cars on Michigan Avenue, people walking to work, the city moving forward like it always did, indifferent to the small dramas playing out in hotel suites. By 10 a.m., Nitti was back. "Romano's, West Madison, order placed October 8th, paid in cash, $47.50. Who placed it? Man in his 30s, dark hair, described as well-dressed, gave the name Mr. Sullivan, which is probably fake." "Probably," Capone agreed. "But Romano's keeps records? Everything. Customer orders, delivery addresses, payment details. They're meticulous." "Good," Capone said. "That helps." "Helps how?" Capone didn't answer directly. Instead, he asked, "What's today's date?" "October 11th. So the wreath was ordered 3 days ago, delivered this morning. That means whoever ordered it has been planning this for at least 3 days, maybe longer." "Planning what?" Nitti asked. "That's the question," Capone said. He stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the street below. "You don't send a funeral wreath as a bluff. You send it because you believe what it says, that I am already finished, which means they've got something planned, something they think can't fail. A hit? Maybe. Or a setup, or evidence, something." He turned back to Nitti. "Who's got a reason right now? Who's been quiet lately?" "Bugs Moran's been quiet, too quiet. Nothing from the north side in 6 weeks. "Moran," Capone repeated. He thought about it. Moran had been a problem for years. The North Side gang controlled bootlegging north of the Chicago River. There had been wars, territories disputed, people hurt on both sides. But lately, silence. Anyone else? "The Jennas are finished. Aiello's in New York. The outfit's been stable." Stables, when they come for you, when you think everything's fine, that's when you're vulnerable. He walked back to the wreath, stood in front of it. Whoever sent this wants me to know, wants me to see my own funeral wreath, wants me to think about it. That's not just a threat, that's psychology. Nitti waited. What do you want to do? Capone thought for a long moment. Then he said something that surprised Nitti. I want to send a gift. A gift? Yeah, a thank you gift for the wreath. Boss, I don't... Here's what you're going to do, Capone said. Go to Romano's, same florist. Order a wreath, bigger than this one, better flowers, roses, red roses, lots of them. Custom ribbon, black, like this one. What should the card say? Capone smiled. Leave the card blank. Just put an address for delivery. What address? We don't know yet. We're going to find out. Over the next 24 hours, Al Capone did something he rarely did. Nothing. He went about his normal routine. Meetings at the Hawthorne Inn, dinner at an Italian restaurant on Taylor Street, back to the Lexington by 10 p.m. No extra security, no changes to his schedule, no visible reaction to the funeral wreath. And that's what made people nervous. Because everyone in Chicago's underworld knew about the wreath by now. Word traveled fast. A funeral wreath delivered to Al Capone's door with his name on it, dated 1930, meaning someone thought he'd be gone this year. People watched, waited for Capone's response, waited for retaliation, for violence, for something. But nothing happened. Capone went about his business like he'd received a birthday card, not a death threat. That silence was louder than any response could have been, because it meant Capone was thinking, planning, and when Al Capone planned, people got nervous. On October 12th at 3 p.m., a breakthrough. One of Capone's informants, a bartender at a North Side speakeasy, called with information. He'd overheard two men talking, celebrating, laughing about a funeral wreath, about how Capone was probably sweating bullets right now. The bartender got close enough to hear a name, Vincent Drucci. No, wait, Drucci was gone. Someone else, Tommy O'Connor. No. The bartender was nervous, confused, but he got an address, an apartment on North Sheffield Avenue, 3rd floor. That was enough. At 4 p.m., Capone called Nitti. The wreath we ordered from Romano's. I've got the delivery address. Nitti wrote it down. North Sheffield Avenue, 3rd floor apartment. You want me to deliver it personally? No, Capone said. I want Romano's to deliver it. Exactly like they deliver any wreath. Normal delivery, normal time, tomorrow morning, early. What's the card going to say? Nothing, Capone said. Blank card. Let them wonder. Boss, I don't understand what this accomplishes. Capone leaned back in his chair. Whoever sent me that wreath wanted me to feel something. Fear, anger, worry. They wanted to get in my head, wanted me to know they're coming. He picked up his coffee. I'm sending them a message back. I know where you live. I know who you are. And I'm not hiding. I'm not running. I'm sending flowers to your door. But the card's blank, Nitti said. Exactly. Because the wreath says everything. I found you. I could have done anything, but I sent flowers. That's more terrifying than any threat. October 13th, 1930, 8:23 a.m. A delivery truck from Romano's florist pulled up outside an apartment building on North Sheffield Avenue. The driver got out, went to the back, pulled out a large funeral wreath, massive, twice the size of a normal wreath. Red roses, dozens of them, arranged in a perfect circle, black satin ribbon. He carried it into the building, climbed to the 3rd floor, found apartment 3B, and leaned the wreath against the door, knocked 3 times, then left. Inside apartment 3B, 2 men were eating breakfast, eggs, toast, coffee, celebrating. They'd sent the wreath to Capone 3 days ago, hadn't heard anything, no retaliation, no response, nothing, which meant Capone was scared or smart enough to ignore it. Either way, they'd made their point. The knock on the door interrupted breakfast. One of the men, Carlo Benedetti, walked to the door, opened it, saw the wreath, froze. "Tony," Carlo called. His voice was tight. "Come here." Tony Rossi walked over, looked at the wreath. His face went pale. "What the—"
The wreath was beautiful, professional, expensive. Red roses, fresh. The ribbon was black satin, same as the one they'd sent to Capone. But there was no card, just blank space where a message should have been. "Who sent this?" Tony whispered. Carlo pulled the wreath inside, closed the door, locked it. They both stood there, staring at it. "Check if there's a card," Tony said. Carlo searched the ribbon, the wreath, the roses. Nothing. No card, no message, no signature. Just flowers. And that's when they understood. This was from Capone. This was his response. Not violence, not threats, just a wreath. At their door, at the address they thought was secret, proving he knew exactly where they were. "We need to leave," Carlo said. "Now." "Where do we go?" "Anywhere. Out of Chicago, out of Illinois." They started packing, throwing clothes in bags, grabbing money from hiding spots, moving fast, panicked, because the message was clear. Capone knew where they lived. Could have sent men, could have sent guns, could have sent bombs. Instead, he sent flowers, which meant he was making a choice. He could end this whenever he wanted, but he was waiting, watching, letting them know he was in control. By noon, Carlo and Tony were gone, left their apartment with everything they couldn't carry, headed to the train station, bought tickets to Detroit, never came back to Chicago. The apartment sat empty for 3 weeks until the landlord cleared it out, found the wreath still inside, wilting now, roses brown, but still there, still making its point. Back at the Lexington Hotel, Nitti reported what had happened. "They're gone, left town this morning, apartment's empty." Capone nodded. "Good. That's it? Good? What else is there?" Capone asked. "They sent me a message, I sent one back. They understood, they left, problem solved. But don't you want to—" Nitti stopped. Capone looked at him. "Want to what? Track them down? Make an example? For what? They're gone. They're not coming back. They're not a problem anymore." He picked up his newspaper. "Violence is expensive, Frank. It costs money, it costs attention, it brings police, it brings headlines. Sometimes it's necessary, but this didn't require violence, just flowers." Nitti thought about that. The wreath cost more than the one they sent you. "Exactly," Capone said. "I sent better flowers, more expensive, showed them I can outspend them, showed them I found them, showed them I chose not to act. All of that for $75. $75? Romano's charged me extra for rush delivery and the size." Capone turned a page in his newspaper. "Best $75 I've spent this month." "What if they come back?" "They won't," Capone said, "because every time they think about Chicago, they'll remember that wreath. They'll remember that I found them. They'll remember that I could have done anything, and they'll stay wherever they ran to." He set down the newspaper. "Fear's not about what you do, Frank. It's about what people think you could do. I didn't have to touch them, just had to show them I could." The story of the funeral wreaths became quiet legend in Chicago's underworld. Not the kind of story that made newspapers, not the kind that resulted in arrests or trials, just a story people told each other about how 2 men sent Al Capone a funeral wreath and how Capone sent one back, bigger, better, with no message except the one that mattered most: "I know where you are." Years later, in 1947, a reporter interviewing Frank Nitti about his years with Capone asked about the most effective thing he'd ever seen Capone do. Nitti thought for a long time. "There was this one time," Nitti said, "somebody sent Capone a funeral wreath with his name on it, like he was already gone. Most guys would have responded with violence, would have made it a war." "What did Capone do?" the reporter asked. Nitti smiled. "He sent them flowers." "That's it?" "That's it. 48 hours later, they were out of Chicago. Never came back. Never caused another problem." "Because of flowers?" "Because of what the flowers meant," Nitti said. "Capone could have sent men, could have sent guns. Instead, he sent roses, showed them he knew where they were,
showed them he was choosing to let them live, showed them he was in control. He leaned back. That's power. Not making people fear what you will do, making them fear what you could do and choosing not to. October 11th, 1930. A funeral wreath appeared at Al Capone's door. October 13th, 1930. A funeral wreath appeared at someone else's door. By October 14th, the problem was solved. No violence, no headlines, no police. Just flowers and the understanding that sometimes the quietest response is the loudest message.